Alright Preston, ready for some shoes? Great, here you go.
Thanks, Raphael. Let's get started on these. Welcome to the Elegant Oxford. We specialize and offer premium shoe shines, dyes, and artisan patinas for quality men's brands and help others to learn the art of shoe shining. Visit theelegantoxford.com for all of your shoe care and Saphir Madai Dior needs. Now, I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with these shoes. It just so happens that many shoe owners no longer feel inspired by their older footwear and decide to leave them behind. My advice, and this is true of anything really, is to invest time and effort into making sure the love you felt for a pair of shoes remains as strong as the day you pulled them brand new out of the box. Alternatively, used shoes purchased on a budget can also be transformed and made uniquely yours so that they'll continue to serve you for years to come. This is the perfect pair to show you what can be done with a little dye and polish. Saphir Renomat will help me remove old polish and dirt from the leather upper. It's gentle enough not to damage leather, but strong enough to remove cracked on grime, which some pairs have an excess of. If you don't feel comfortable using Renomat, there are a lot of alternatives for you to use out there. Saddle soap is another popular, less abrasive method for cleaning your shoes before they're polished. Just make sure you get them nice and clean. Now, when it comes to leather dye, always start lighter than you think. You can always add additional coats, but a darker application can't always be lightened if needed, at least not easily. Dilute alcohol-based dyes with rubbing alcohol or diluter for more control in achieving the desired look. My advice is to be patient because dye always looks kind of ugly before it dries. A lot of people panic during this stage and add too much or just scrap the project completely. Don't worry, once the dye dries it'll look more even and you'll be able to gauge how much darker you want to go. Remember to use different tools you may have at your disposal for areas of the shoe that may be hard to reach, like crevices and the weld. The sponge pom-pom applicator is included with every bottle of Saphir alcohol dye, so make sure to take advantage of it. These are great tools that'll make your job a lot easier. Oh, and before I forget, there are two types of leather dyes out there. There are alcohol-based dyes, like this one that I'm using by Saphir, and there are oil-based dyes. And those are really great. They appear to be richer in color, but it's one thing that I don't like about them is that they seem to wipe off. They don't absorb into the leather as well as alcohol-based dyes. So you really have two options, but I prefer alcohol-based dyes myself. This dye I'm using here is a 2-for-1. You can use it on suede and calfskin, so it's really great for projects and for dyeing suede if you need to. Okay, now getting into those areas by the welt. There are some nooks and crannies that are going to be hard to get to with that pom-pom applicator. So like I mentioned, use a brush or use another type of tool to get deep into those areas. It's just really helpful to use a brush myself, and they're not expensive. You can go anywhere, arts and crafts, even Walmart, and you can find inexpensive brushes. And of course, there are very expensive brushes out there, but just use whatever you have available. Alright, as you can see, there's not much of a difference. The dye dried really well. From here, we can decide how many coats to add. I'm looking for a rich golden cognac color, so a few more coats will do. You're not out of the woods yet. Remember to follow the previous steps closely. Add one coat and then check to gauge if you need to go darker. Don't go overboard and take your time. After 4 coats, I think I have the color I really want. This is a really good middle ground with some orange and beautiful amber tones. Now, darker accents will give the shoe a dynamic look, so an airbrush is a good tool to use in this area. You can also use brushes or even your fingers if needed. Remember to shade darker areas correctly so you don't see any stark lines. You want a gradual effect from dark to light and vice versa. Okay, and for those who are wondering, this is actually my second week with an airbrush. I've never had one before and I just bought one on a whim. But before I used brushes, or I would use a cotton rag around my index finger and I would, shade like I was shading with a colored pencil or like if I was drawing. And using that method really helped me to add that kind of shaded look and add the darkened accents in areas that I wanted. And it gives the shoe a very dynamic look, kind of like shading you know, a circle on a piece of paper. It looks like a sphere when you're done. That's kind of what we're going for here. So not too much, but just enough that it looks different, and from far away people will really love the way it looks. I get compliments on my shoes all the time. People ask me, what have you done to the shoe? Why does it look so amazing? It's simply because you're adding that artistic flair, that shading, and it really attracts the human eye. People will notice it, and it'll just look really dynamic and deep. Now, I'm sure there are some of you who don't want a shoe that looks like this. You want something a little bit more plain, and that's completely okay. Do what works for you. If you have a pair of shoes you want to change, kind of draw them on a piece of paper and color them in with colored pencils just to get an idea of what it might look like when you're done. Use different colors. Just do whatever you have to do, and see it in your mind, and then go for it. So if you like a shoe that's just a little bit more plain looking, maybe you just want to dye it a different color, you can go ahead and do that. Just feel free to use whatever you learn in this video if you want to use it. But if you don't, that's completely okay. Do what suits you best. Allow adequate time to dry. Dye that isn't fully cured can rub off, so be patient and give it at least an hour. For this pair, Cognac shoe polish will give the shoe the necessary conditioning and color it needs. I like applying it with my fingers for maximum control. I find daubers aren't accurate enough for my taste, but do what works for you. Another question I get quite often is, how do I match shoe cream perfectly with my shoe? And I think the easiest answer is that you'll never have a perfect match. It'll never be perfect. So I think if you really want to not add any color of any kind, use neutral. It'll, you know, it matches every color perfectly, but just think about what colors you want to accentuate. You can use amber to accentuate those golden tones. You can use burgundy to accentuate the purple tones, oxblood to accentuate the red tones. But you can just feel free to use different colors to your advantage. So remember, you're never going to have the perfect match, but you can make the shoe look really beautiful. Now, the mirror shine can be the trickiest yet most satisfying part. It's an art, so be patient and just realize that the results aren't going to be perfect initially. This might take time and patience. Remember to lay down a thick layer of wax first to set the groundwork, or the shine won't come out correctly. Once the wax is dried, use a cotton cloth around your fingers and small drops of water to buff the wax to perfection. Add layers of wax and make sure to apply enough pressure to melt and shine, but not so much that you pull the wax off. Imagine you're shining an eggshell. Don't use too much pressure, but use enough pressure. I think the most important advice I can give you is just to be patient. Don't use too much water. If you use too much water, you'll get dry spots that won't shine, and it's just going to drive you crazy. I remember the first time I tried a mirror shine, I got these dry spots that wouldn't shine no matter what I did. If that happens to you, it means the leather is oversaturated and you're using too much water. Cut back on the water and make sure to use enough wax. Here's the before, and here's how they turned out afterward. I really hope you like how they look. Sometimes all that's needed is a little effort, resulting in a big change that can alter the way you feel about shoes you thought you were done with. Flat wax laces by Fort Belvedere complete the look and bring everything together perfectly. I really want to give a special thanks to Raphael at the Gentleman's Gazette for this opportunity to team up on a little project, and I hope you like them as well. Thanks for stopping by, and I will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe, and share for more content in the future. Visit theelegantoxford.com if you'd like to purchase any of the shoe products you've seen me use. Make sure to check out my other videos as well if you'd like to learn more about the art of the shoe shine. Don't forget to look for me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Elegant Oxford. Remember to care for your shoes so they'll last you for years to come. Always put your best foot forward. The small details matter most, so don't forget to hashtag shine your shoes. I'll see you next time.